3rd Battalion, 22nd Infantry, with you in Vietnam. I'll discuss a little more about his details in a few minutes. I'm the Chief of Staff and Vice President of Army and Navy Academy, a small college preparatory private high school in Carlsbad, about 30 minutes to the north of here, just south of Camp Pendleton, California. We have 300 cadets, and we have 6 with us today representing the Academy. 300 cadets, more than 200 from the United States, and about 100 from international countries, from Russia, across all of Europe, North and Central and South America, and Asia. We're quite proud of our young men. The motto of the Academy is to educate, mentor, and develop good character and leadership in young men. And we follow the virtues of honor, integrity, respect, responsibility, compassion, and gratitude. We take great pride that we're a private school, that we have 100% say in our curriculum, and we take great pride in that we teach our young men how to think, not what to think. We build around the dreaded 4-letter word in civilian schools. That word in civilian schools that they forbid is the art of leadership. We raise our young men to be leaders, to be proud, and to know right from wrong. We're absolutely honored and delighted to be with you for today's ceremony, marking the reunion of Charlie Company. And our young Warrior Honor Guard is proud to be able to carry the flag of our nation and the flag of the state of California, and they represent all of the cadets from Army and Navy Academy. We're here today to honor and pay homage to your fallen brothers, the 95 members of Company C who paid the highest price, their lives, as they fought to protect the fledgling nation that was caught up in a brutal civil war, one that our fellow Americans at the time and even today don't understand. Today, the story of Vietnam is at best misunderstood and at worst distorted. But you and I, we know the truth. And we veterans, at one point in time, were made the scapegoat for the failure of misguided national strategic policy and convoluted military tactics. Never before, and thankfully never since, has the American soldier been made the fall guy for poor political decision-making. And you and I must endeavor to ensure that mistake is never repeated. American servicemen and women today do feel gratitude and thanks from their fellow countrymen. Like you, when I returned from Vietnam, it was with either benign ignorance or complete indifference, or in some cases, hostility. But I can tell you, having just retired from the Army in 2008, particularly after 7 years of war in Iraq and Afghanistan, the American public today show their gratitude to American servicemen and women. Every time you see a young soldier at an airport or a bus terminal in public, you'll always hear somebody from the public come up and say, "Thank you for your service." And that's good to hear. And I know a lot of those people who make those comments, who pay those compliments, are you and your family, because you taught your children and grandchildren right. But once again, welcome home and thank you for your service. I was one of the last 10 Vietnam veterans on active duty when I retired on 1 September 2008. I felt quite old at that point, and I felt quite old to have that distinction. But I am proud to have served my nation in uniform for more than 34 years, and I'm proud of my Vietnam service. Oftentimes, the only ribbons I'll wear on my Class B uniform are my campaign ribbons. Well, let's talk about your 95 brothers who fell in combat. Each and every one of you knew at least one. The first Charlie Company soldier to fall in combat was Private First Class George A. Fogarty. He was from Marion, Iowa, and he fell on 12 November 1966. He'd only been in Vietnam for 6 weeks. He had just turned 20. Remember that date, 12 November 1966. because exactly 4 years later to the day, your last brother fell in battle. Corporal Eduardo Ramirez from Canoga Park, California, was the last Charlie Company soldier to die in battle, precisely 4 years to the day after PFC Fogarty. And in between, 93 other Charlie Company members died. The 48 months that's represented November 66 to November 70 were the bloodiest in the Vietnam War and the bloodiest in the decade. And your company and your battalion fought in some of the heaviest actions. But for the 22nd Infantry, no month was bloodier or saw heavier losses than the month of January 1968, particularly right after New Year and right after the cessation of the ceasefire. Right after Christmas, you started building Fire Support Base Burt, which would be the base camp for 3rd Brigade. There would find 2nd Battalion, 22nd Infantry, the mechanized Triple Deuce, still serving today. After 5 tours in Afghanistan and Iraq, they served with pride and distinction at Fort Drum, New York, and I'm privileged to be there in 2 weeks' time to see Triple Deuce once again, to reunite with them, as I was his brigade commander in the 10th Mountain Division. Well, at Fire Base Burt near Soi Kut, took 3 days to build a base that was somewhat defensible. And sometime late at night or early morning, approximately 1 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd of January 1968, 2 regiments of North Vietnamese infantry, the 271st and 272nd regiments of 4 battalions, launched a human wave assault that would go on for more than 5 hours. And in that period, both battalions of the 22nd Infantry, 2 battalions of artillery, the 3rd of the 13th Field Artillery, and the 2nd of the 77th would fight with incredible bravery and distinction. We know that hundreds of rounds of artillery and mortar fire were launched in your defense, and more than 150,000 rounds of M16 ammunition, countless rounds of machine gun fire, but nothing was more decisive than the artillery firing at point-blank range over open sights with the beehive round that turned back the enemy after repeated human wave assaults. And if it weren't for our brothers in the air, both Air Force and attack helicopter companies from the Army, the outcome would not have been what it was. In the end, 400 enemy lay dead on the battlefield, hundreds more wounded, and 8 NVA were taken prisoner. Our casualties, no doubt, were heavy. For Charlie Company, it was perhaps the worst day of the entire war. On that day, 11 members of this company would be killed in action. As I mentioned a moment ago, my brother-in-law was also in 3rd Battalion, 22nd Infantry. He was in Company A in the northeast quadrant of the battle. Sergeant First Class Arthur Vernon Alligood. His sister, my wife, is here to my left. That night, he was awarded the Silver Star and the Purple Heart for several injuries that he suffered, and we lost him just 18 months ago. After the Battle of Fire Support Base Burt, and especially throughout the rest of 1968 and into 1969, Charlie Company would fight with valor, distinction, and unmatched bravery, and unheralded distinction in a number of small unit actions. The first 10 days of February of 1968 would see several brothers fall. Again in May, in June, and in August, ceaseless patrolling, constant combat assaults, clashes and encounters were occurring on a daily basis. 68 was the hardest year. Each of you will recall a lost friend, a fallen comrade, a fellow Charlie Company trooper who would die in action. In the nearly 50 years, in the 5 decades since, we were just mere boys then, mainly teenagers, 19, 20, a little bit older. Today, we are in fact well into our senior years. I would guess the youngest veteran here today would be 65. One thing to remember, though, after all those difficult battles and all those hard times in Vietnam, we never lost a battle. We never wavered in the face of relentless combat, and we served with pride and distinction. We've seen the best years of our lives, but we still have a service left in us. Service to our community, service to our local schools, athletic associations, churches, our communities. We need to remain involved and engaged in our nation. One thing we can say about our fallen brothers, their future was denied them. Let us never forget that they gave their tomorrow for our today. They shall not grow old as we that are left have grown old. Age will not weary them, nor will the years condemn. And at the going down of the sun and in the morning, we shall always remember them. May they rest in peace forever. Thank you for letting Army and Navy Academy help you share in this remembrance ceremony today. May God bless you. May God bless these fallen heroes. May God bless America. Thank you.
You picked me up, you shot me down, you stepped out all over town, drove me back to drinking in this bar. I found myself a brand new friend, I'm headed down that road again, working on my next broken heart. Have you said it's hard to tell You taught me how to hurt so well. When it comes to love, I know my part. So I play this game that I can win. I'll be somebody's fool again, working on my next broken heart. Well, I thought all along you'd be the death of me, but I met one tonight who wants what's left of me. Well, I've seen that look before. She'll tear my world apart. I'm working on my next broken heart. That sweet moment sublime, we find that our love is unaltered by time. Dear, as I held you so close in my arms, angels were saying a hymn to your child. Two hearts gently beating were murmuring, oh, my darling, I love you so.